Eric, I was just saying I'm going to pull the agenda up and give an overview and then just hand you the gavel. And if you can run through it, I'm looking for 4 votes. Um, one to adopt the CEDS, that's first, and then 3 brownfield
Okay.
sites. Just as a heads up, sir. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
yep, no problem. Just trying to do my job here. Abby's here. How you doing, Abby? How's things in Boston? I hope they're a little cooler.
Yeah, the usual.
The usual. Well, at least you can get a sea breeze. We don't get a lot of sea breeze 60, 70 miles inland. So, uh, uh, Travis, hi, how are you? Thanks for coming in.
Happy to be
Ray's
here.
here
Roy
from
is
Ray.
on
Ray from
vacation
Air.
this summer.
Awesome. I see 302 on the screen. So I promised to start at 301. So, Mr. Chairman, Eric, I'm going to just quickly summarize the agenda, and then if you could run it. Thank you very much, if that's okay with
You're
everybody.
welcome. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So let me do a share and then pull up the right window, ideally, and then let's see, pull up the agenda, which is in Word, I'm pretty sure. There it is. Okay, don't try to read this. I'm going to go pretty fast. I'm just trying to scroll to get to the top of the agenda. Please bear with me. Going
Yeah.
to minimize the window. Okay, so the first page, I'm going to shrink it just a little bit. Okay, can everybody see that okay, that language? Is that all right?
Yeah, looks all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we good? Okay, just want to be on the safe side. I think there's only 3 pages in this. What I'd like to do is just basically say that page 1 is how to register. Thank you all for coming today. Really appreciate your support. I think we can do this in 30 minutes, and if people need more time during the meeting, I'm here. If you need more time after the meeting, I can set up a separate call, or we can take a phone call like we used to do in the old days. So it's a combined meeting of the Montachusett Economic Development District plus the Montachusett Regional Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy Committee plus the Montachusett Brownfields Group. So the first half on the top, or at the top slash middle of the screen, is I have several documents that I sent out about 2 o'clock, and I can pull them much up at the screen as we go through them, Mr. Chairman and members.
Please.
They,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a strategic planning, there's a strategic meeting, there's a strategic notes for local officials. There's a executive summary of the CEDS document, and there is a also finally a resolution, which I can just summarize when we get to it. And basically, I'm looking for adoption of the CEDS per that resolution, so we can submit the CEDS once again. And there's a long story there. And then basically the other half of the agenda. So Abby from EPA, if you can hang out with us, I think that first part won't take that long. It's up to the members. And then we would be looking for action items to basically do 3 things. To start 2 new assessments
Two new ones.
in
Okay. Yeah.
in Templeton. It says Baldwinville, but it's the town of Templeton. Sorry, folks. We have
Excuse me.
3 post offices in Templeton. I don't know why the USPS decided to put 3 in Templeton and 1 in Athol and 1 in Gardner, but it is what it is. And then another one to continue. It's already been approved, but to continue doing some more assessment work for the Groton site, 163 Main Street, which I
Okay.
believe is where the senior center is. So without further ado, Eric, can I just throw the mic at you, sir, and the gavel and just walk us through
Yep.
these points? Thank you,
Again,
sir.
Chairman Eric Smith here today. So thank you everybody for joining us. We're going to move through the agenda item number 1 here. So I'm sure it'll be MRPC staff will help us review the most recently edited regional comprehensive emergency. I'm sorry, emergency. I got my different hat on there. Comprehensive economic development strategy, or the CEDS document. So yeah, please, MRPC staff, take that part away.
Okay, thanks, Eric. And I'm going to go to the appropriate document. Bear with me. Scope of work, scope of work, scope of work. Okay. Oh, I sent them in the email. So I'm just going to run to my email real quick. And I just sent them out to you. So I'm just going to pull them from there. It'll save time. So
That'd be
bear
great.
with me. This way you can see what Glenn does all day is just talk about email and stuff. So we'll go to sent. We just sent them to meeting. Here we go. Let's have some fun. So I will
Okay.
pull up very quickly the executive summary, which is here. So I'll slowly, you have this on your end, so it's in your email, but it's just on the screen now for in case you didn't see it or whatever. The bottom line, folks, is that what a CEDS is. It's an analysis of, here's the purpose here. It's in, we have a CEDS. We've had a comprehensive economic development strategy since 1995 to 97. It's a laundry list that includes, according to EDA regulations, Economic Development and Administration. We basically have a document which allows us to include projects that would promote economic development, job creation in our region, in our case, our region, because it's a regional CEDS, and that you are all, if your project is in the CEDS, in the appendix under projects, then you can apply for money later on for what I call brick and mortar money or pipe in the ground money. We do this by basically collecting a lot of information from stakeholders and interviews, and then a lot of data analysis. The older I get, the more I say dater, D-A-T-E-R, and I apologize. I offend Commander Data on the Star Trek Enterprise. But basically what we do is an economic overview, and you can see here that it says manufacturing is 15% of the regional employment, significantly higher than the state and national averages. Can I give you context? When I worked for the North Central Chamber in the 90s, that percentage was 23 to 25% of it wasn't, and now it's shrunken, 10% in 30 years. So while it looks good and it's still twice as much as the state and national, we know we've gone through deindustrialization that has continued. We know we have a lot of healthcare in the industry. We have a lot of people working in government, education, construction, and life sciences, biotech to other things, collaborative workspaces, so on and so forth. Demographic trends, I'm just going to hit highlights. We do an analysis of the demographic trends. I'm not going to talk about any of these unless you want to go back to them. We look at workforce development patterns. We say, hey, well, what's going on? And it says, hey, top bullet, what I just alluded to, manufacturing remains central, but is undergoing automation and consolidation. I think AI will help continue that. We do look at the infrastructure conditions because the Public Works Improvements Program, which is an EDA program, funds infrastructure improvements. The bottom line here is if you want to build a business park or an industrial park, you want to go to EDA for their grant. It's a matching funds grant, but that's why we do the CEDS. That's the bottom line. Now, we get to do some economic analysis every year. We look at performance measures. We get to look at the data to see where it's going also, and we issue reports. We do a SWOT also, what's going on in the region. And we have, kind of a vision that's stated, and then goals. We do have to have goals. And then we have projects, your projects in all of our communities. If you submitted them to us, then those are in the CEDS also. In a perfect world, we would have had this meeting before a planning commissioners meeting. The planning commissioners did adopt this resolution last Thursday. I wasn't able to pull off this meeting before that meeting, so that's mea culpa on me. In the future, I will do that. A CEDS is updated every 5 years, and I will close by saying a very brief story that this CEDS was sent to the EDA in 2024. It has on the cover, it says 2024 to 2029. For a lot of reasons that I won't go into the details of, but with the changeover in the White House from one administration to the other, things got slowed down, bogged down. A flurry of executive orders were issued, and we've had to edit the CEDS to make it conform to new executive orders of the new administration since last summer. Most recently, we had to eliminate the word. So we all do tables. We all look at demographic tables, right? But we had to eliminate the word race and use the word ethnicities when talking about race. They are not the same word. They are not the same thing. So the word that's in the memorandum in the Merriam-Webster dictionary is not in conformance with the current executive order of the current administration. So we had to do some edits that I will share with you that I am not pleased with. I'm not happy. We had to remove the word electric before electric vehicle and come up with something else like alternative energy vehicle. So this CEDS, once this resolution is adopted, we will send it down to the EDA again for review and sanitizing, if you will. And we think we're done with edits. If we are, then we can then upload it into an EDA portal, an online grant app portal, where you do all your management. And then it'll be approved. So we've been working on this for 2 years. And the new administration has been making changes. So that's all I'm going to say in a public meeting about that. So that's the executive summary. I did prepare also, thanks to AI, and I did proof it, and it looks okay. The I'm going to go back to that email because that's where stuff is.
Because you have a resolution, you will want us to make a motion and eventually second and
Yes,
adopt it. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. And we're going to just talk about the other documents very briefly. So I did the executive summary. This is also in your email. It's just a strategic talking points plan for elected officials. It's what you really need to know about a CEDS. What does this all mean for you? Well, it means that we have, limited affordable housing. We have workforce shortages, stuff we all already know, but we can document it now and you can document it too. And then the last thing, just very quickly to show you is to your point, Eric, is the resolution. And it basically says, whereas we've prepared the CEDS, whereas it's a foundational document, it's a prerequisite. Here was what I said already for federal economic development funding. Here's our strategy: modernize the aging and inadequate infrastructure, do resilience planning, expansion of attainable housing, CEDS process public surveys, whereas. So a lot of whereases. And if you're okay with this, then yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd be looking for a vote, motion and second and all that to adopt the CEDS so we can send it back down for another review by EDA officials. So that's the objective here. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, okay. So what we'll do is, how about we get a motion to adopt, and in a second we can have any discussions along the way. So yeah, Ray, that's fine. I'm happy to take the question, but when we have the motion and second, we can have our discussion in between.
You ready for motion, Eric?
Yes.
All for a motion that we adopt the Regional Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy document as presented.
Seconded.
Second, thank you. Okay, so looks like Mary has her hands up. Mary Jo has her hands up.
Yeah, I
Question,
had a
and then we
super
go
quick
right.
question, and I guess I'll pose it to Glenn or just the broader group. So, the one thing that has been on our mind here in Fitchburg and maybe throughout our region is the notion of our region being economically competitive. And maybe my question for Glenn is that theme of being mindful of emerging technologies, emerging sectors, wanting to be competitive, is that somewhat off topic in the context of a CEDS? Or, I mean, there's certain language that did occur in the document that touches on it, regional positioning near Worcester, biotech corridor, emerging technologies. Some of those things did come up, but I just wondered if us striving to make our region competitive economically, is that something that gets acknowledged in a CEDS, or is that not what CEDS is about?
It's not directly about that, and that you're going into the area of first of all, there's nothing wrong with saying that. Zach's been poring over this for a long time. And if there's something in the CEDS that says that, I'm going to defer to Zach to see if there's anything like that. Zach, is there anything in the narrative that says something like Mary Jo's talking about?
I don't think there's anything directly that is saying how we reflect competitively compared to other regions in Massachusetts or the country, but there are certainly points made about how we're unique and ways that we should be addressing policy and such to kind of suit our region and our economic development here.
Okay. The reason that's fine. The reason I bring it up is I just and it's not that I want the language to be changed, but my want was for it to feel very aspirational. Like we know who we are, we know what we've been, but sort of the emerging, the aspirational stuff, I'm sure it's coming through in the language of the document, but I just wondered if that's part of what we should outwardly be stating.
I think we can handle it very, very, very simply by saying, we at MRPC we could create another document that says, and quite frankly, work with the four chambers if we want to have some competitive spin in the cities. Like not all of our communities have economic development people like you, Mary Jo. But I think if we wanted to do I'm just going to call it a separate document for now, whatever you want to call it, that says what you're saying. I think we should have that. And I think it should be clear, focused to the point, like an executive summary of like, okay, we think our competitive advantage and our unique place in this is this. I thought I saw Roy Nascimento sign on, but then maybe he left. But I don't remember. But I think you raise an excellent point that is not required of a CEDS, but
Right.
that we should make a statement to that point anyway, is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
And what I would do is I would say, let's take that point and let me talk to Zach and Bernie about, let's frame something and send it out for like the next CEDS Brownfields meeting and say, hey, is this what you're looking for? Because I have no problem marketing an area or region for economic development purposes, even though marketing isn't in the MRPC's wheelhouse or job. But if we could agree on something and then let the chambers go out and spin and have fun with, based on data. And I do want to shout out to the chambers too. We use a lot of their data, especially the annual economic survey that Fidelity does. It's very helpful to us. So let's join forces and try to create something.
Okay.
That's
And it wasn't meant to sound like an edit to this document, but
Didn't
in
take it that way.
reading the summaries and things about the document, it got me thinking maybe it is a slightly similar but related task that's a little separate.
But should be done, and I would say, for what it's worth. Yeah.
Just
Good,
a
good
final
comment.
thought.
I want to respect Ray Freelander had a question on the chat. So before we go to Travis, how about Ray? If you're able to speak up and do a verbally or question verbally, we welcome that.
Thank you, Chair. My question is regarding the resolution and the strategic brief that we're giving to elected officials. In our strategic brief, we call out healthcare capacity decline, and we also talk about the fact that our population is getting older, they're aging. And yet, when you look at our resolution, it doesn't call out addressing the healthcare decline
Yeah.
or the access to healthcare. So I was hoping the board would consider adding that as a bullet point to the resolution.
That's very reasonable.
I would say I would support that. We've experienced,
Yeah.
as Ray mentions, I mean, we've certainly experienced the closure of Neshoba. And that's been a big issue in this area.
Yeah.
Despite the fact we have a new emergency room opening.
So Peter, we'll have that as a motion, and somebody want to second that amendment? To add that bullet about that.
I would offer an amendment to the main motion to incorporate Ms. Freelander's language on healthcare.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Love it.
Okay.
Thank you.
The motion now to amend it. And Travis, your question, please.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to say, I'm just filling in for Roy today, but I agree with what Mary Jo was saying. I'm sure we'd be happy to participate in those discussions. And I believe, Glenn, you already have our One North Central plan, but you might even find language in there that might be like a good starting point for you.
Yeah.
So if not, I can always send that over for future discussions as well. So
Yeah. Thank you, Travis. I do have it, and I think that'd be a great. I mean, this is supposed to be a public-private sector partnership. The CEDS, the Med, in the reality is that. Thank you for that. And if we could take a few pieces from both and come up with a one-page. I don't want to the document. Is 10 bullets of we think we're unique, which I'm sure a lot of what chambers do in your report, Travis, is talk about economic potential and the uniqueness and what we're going to be striving for, what's our role in robotics and AI and so on and so forth. So let me steal from you and steal from us and put something together. And then Travis, if we can, maybe you and me and Zach, if we could work something out, and then we can present it to the next meeting. If it makes sense, it's okay with me. However you want to proceed is fine.
sure. I'll run it by Roy, but happy to talk about that. And I know because I know we've talked to Stephen and Ray and a couple others on this call already. Like we've done presentations on it to the different cities and towns. So the whole purpose of that document was for people to steal and use it as their own. So we're happy to lend it and happy for you guys to rip stuff verbatim if you need.
Great. I appreciate that. Yeah, I won't say steal. I'll say we're loaning your narratives. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Travis. Much appreciated. Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, back to you. Thank you.
Okay, so any other questions? Not seeing any. So we already had the motion and second with the amendment, adding the improved access to healthcare, the resolution. So all in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Roll call because we're remote.
Roll call. Okay, yeah. I haven't
Yeah,
done
so
that before.
Cunningham, aye.
Okay, so right, my screen is hard to see everybody. That's a problem for me.
Sorry, Eric, but yeah.
Do you want me to call it, Eric?
Please, since you're the administrator of the Zoom, yeah, better for you to do it, please.
I'm happy to do that,
Yeah,
Eric.
yeah.
I will go Camilo Neves.
Yes.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. Bob Laguerre.
Aye.
Cindy King.
Aye.
Logan from the wonderful town of Shirley.
Aye.
Peter, we have a Peter. Did we get? Oh,
Yeah,
Peter, did you vote?
Cunningham, aye.
Okay, Cunningham, aye. Nicole Winterton.
Aye.
Okay. Da. Okay, Athol voted, but I want to hear from Paul anyway. Paul from the Athol Public Works.
Yeah, I agree too. Aye.
Very good. Unanimous from Athol. Ray Friedlander Air.
Aye.
Excellent. Stephen Wallace, Lunenburg.
Aye.
Travis, I want to let you swallow what you just drank. Travis from
Aye.
North okay, very good. Mary Jo.
Aye.
And the last person I see is our chair, Eric.
Aye.
Okay, we have a triple unanimous from Athol, so that's wonderful. Thank you all for that. I appreciate that a lot. And let's see, we took about 20 minutes. I can do the Brownfield stuff. I have to pull up the agenda again for our chair and all of us. If you would please bear with me.
While you get to that mode, I actually have the agenda in front of me on the left side of my desk holder here, but it says discuss regular meeting schedule for the combined meeting of the Mr. CEDS Committee, Montachusett Brownfields Group. Action request for approval of schedule through June 2027. Do we have a meeting schedule before us today to be proposed?
No. So I'm hoping that and I must have closed it, so thanks for reading that. I'm not going to share. I'm not going to share. Thanks for just taking care of that. And you have the agendas in front of you, most likely also. So we don't have, my real request is, my bottom line here is we can ask 10 people or 20 people in this room when they're free. Or, I'd like to look back at who's attended for the last year, come up with the 30, people who've attended the most, doodle poll them and try to settle on a date and just go as democracy, the greatest rule, if you will, of people that are available. If that's okay, I'd just like to handle this through a doodle poll and try to
I
get something.
appreciate it was on the agenda, and so so everybody expect an email from Glenn and MRPC, and then fill out the doodle poll about your availability, and I like the idea of then hopefully making some sort of standing date and time, even if it's on a quarterly basis. So that'll be great. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
What's the next thing? Are we into the site assessments now?
We're in the Brownfield, so we're going to have updates and funding commitments for the previously approved sites. I know there's a separate page exhibit that has, I think they're going alphabetical by community. So maybe you're able to bring that up, Glenn. The project efforts and proposed budgets for the seven projects. Yeah.
Okay. So what I want to do is give you just that's a great segue to, hey, where is the budget? And to talk about the 7 and then go into the expansion of some more work in Groton and then 2 from Templeton. So let me hit that share button again. And I have the Excel budget in front of me. So we'll click that. We'll click share. We will click that. Okay. So in the green on the left, the bottom line is that the phase 1's here, and I'll use some color coding just to make life a little bit easier. Well, that's the theory. I'm not sure. Anyway, this is the phase 1's area. We're tracking the budget for all of them. We have about 64,150 left for the phase 1's. Here's the phase 2's work that's been done by Beta. This is Joe's spreadsheet, so I'm just letting you know that this is in a little different spot. So the 60,057.28 is left for phase 2 work, and that we've done some phase 3 work for Lunenburg, and that we have about 25,500 left. Now, what's being requested here today is, if we look at this section in yellow, we're looking at, okay, so the remaining balance before today, 64,150. If you all approve of us proceeding with phase 1's or letting Beta proceed with phase 1's, we would do 17 Central Street in Baldenville at $7,200 is his cost estimate. 25 State Road is about estimated as $5,900. To give some local flavor to these, 17 Central Street is a former auto repair station that's been used for probably 75 years, is now defunct. Owner has walked away. The town has not yet taken it in tax title, but the town is trying to clean up the site. And then 25 State Road is locally referred to as Woodskill, all one word, Woodskill Clock Company. And that building fell down way before I was on the Board of Selectmen. So I'm going to guess in the 80s. So it's about 40, 50 years
Wow.
ago. And the town of Temple hasn't done anything with it except try to collect back taxes. And that's a 40-year-old, waste of futility. Let's see. So for the Groton Street, 163 Main Street, Groton, and Peter, if you want to chime in here, there's recommended testing by DEP. They want us to go out, or Beta to go out, poke some more holes, and check for lead. Segue to you, Peter. You want to talk about the Groton site at all, sir?
Yeah, it's the site phase one is already performed on it, and then there's some additional work done the phase two. There were still a couple of spots that Mass DEP is concerned about, and I know Joe had talked to Kevin Dowse down at Mass DEP down in Worcester about those, and they wanted some additional testing in those sites. It's on it's a former shooting range, gun range, and our new senior center's there. A lot of the site where the senior center was constructed was put on fill, so it's it's land that's right next to the senior center. It's not actually right under the senior center, but there's the range that was there. There was an old sportsman's club. There was a rifle range that had a backstop that was remediated pretty easily. But then there was a skeet range where a lot of small pellets were scattered all over the place. So that's what remains. That should clean it up. We're hoping, I think, and Joe had mentioned, and he had some discussions with DEP that they may have some access to money, but I'm not that clear on what that is or how available it is.
Okay, that's great. Joe's not here. He's on vacation today.
Correct.
Abby, did you want to say anything about these sites or a process or anything? Please chime in.
Yeah, Abby knows this one well.
Well, so there are a few options for some of these sites, which I guess will be up to everyone here to decide. We do have at EPA targeted Brownfields assessment program, which is free assessment by our contractors. So if it's eligible under the program, which it's eligible under the grant, so it should likely be eligible under the program, you would just need to fill out a request for the site, and it can be done through our TBA program. There's also the Mass DEP. They also have Brownfields funds. I'm not quite sure how they decide which sites are selected for funding use, but certainly I know yes, Peter.
Yeah, Abby, if I could ask, I know, the work that you folks did out there for phase one was extensive, but you remediated particularly the lead to a certain level. You had a different standard than Mass DEP. So would those monies you talk about be available for this, even though it's been, you've closed the site out in terms of the work you did there?
So for this site, there was the removal program was on it, and that removal action, what they do is they remove the imminent threat. So they're not technically removing the entirety of the contamination, but it's what's imminently threatening human life.
Right.
So they removed what they removed, and then we went out and assessed.
These things. Don't say we should hang out. Instead, say I'd love to take you out for a drink. How's this Friday? Never say
there's something to play.
Instead, say my ex and I had different values and lifestyles, but that relationship showed me a
Where's
lot.
that? Somebody has a background noise. I know it's not me because my room's quiet. It's weird. Able to mute that background noise, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So we had done under this program some assessment work, as you were saying, and they identified still some lead under the building. I thought that with Joe's last conversation, let me pull up my notes. Sorry, one second.
Yeah, their phase two assessment they had done, the majority of the site was okay, but there were a couple of spots that needed more attention.
Yeah, so that could potentially be done through the targeted Brownfields assessment program, or since Kevin Dowse is aware of the situation, I do believe that he had
Yeah.
stated that there were funds available.
That's what
So
Joe told me. That's right, Abby.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So it would be up to this group probably to decide if they um what funding route would be best.
Yeah, can I
Whether to use
chime in just for a
MRPCs.
sec?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good idea to use our funds. Not saying that, it's not a good idea to use the other funds. If we use the other funds, it's going to take longer to get
That's what
through
I
those
was
applications
thinking.
and process
That's
for
what I
those
was
other
thinking
programs.
too.
And we
Okay.
have the funds now to do this because I'm being very selfish in my next point I want to raise, in that the more funds we commit, expend, get out the door, Abby's nodding, we are more likely to be eligible to apply for another round this fall, and summer, excuse me, fall, winter, fall, early winter, whatever it is. And we need to hit a magic 70% mark of committed or expended. Abby, if you could repeat that in a second. But, I would like to see us push more money out the door. If we don't, we might not make that 70% mark. And then we can't apply for funds this year, which don't get awarded until next summer, that get started next October. And then realistically, you're into 2028 before you actually are spending money again. So there's a motivation by MRPC to get money out the door, just so you all have that information. But you're the group, I'm just the staff person. And if you want to go other ways, that's up to you guys.
That works for Groton, believe me.
That works for Groton.
Yeah, no, as a chair, I think, I appreciate everyone being, made aware of these other funding opportunities, and I think it's great. I mean, I'll give an example in Athol. We have a former toy factory, the Cass Toy Factory at 62 Canal Street. We didn't have any access to funds, and fortunately, we were kind of directed to the targeted Brownfield Systems Program, sorry, EP. And it's been great. They're doing some cleanup work there. But I think this assessment activity has been presented to us today, for the new assessment at 17 State Road in Baldwinville, which is in Templeton, and then 25 to Central Street, Baldwinville is also in Templeton, as well as kind of then now doing some more testing activities under the phase 2 budget. I would support, unless there's any further questions or comments, I would support a motion to support these activities going forward.
I would offer that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Any other questions, comments? I think it's been a good job kind of presenting, the overall high level view, what each would entail, and this getting the budget is pretty clear, and there's still funding left over. So, folks, if you think of other properties, I'm sure we'll talk about next steps as needed. But barring any other questions or comments, I guess, Glenn, maybe you could lead us on another roll call vote, please.
We'll do that. We'll go the other way, go the direction.
Yeah.
Mary Jo.
Aye.
Stephen. You were muted, but I saw you say aye.
Yeah.
Thanks for the thumbs up. Folks, that's all you have to do. Whatever. Travis, sir.
Aye.
Okay, Nicole. Maybe away. I can circle back. Ray from Air.
Aye.
Thank you very much, Ray. Peter from Groton.
Yeah, Cunningham, aye.
Logan, Shirley.
Aye.
Cindy King, Townsend.
Aye.
Bob and Athol.
Aye.
Camilo Neves, Spanish American Center.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you very much. It's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Great. Good to hear that. So we can move on to the next agenda item, and that calls for the provision of EPA Brownfields program technical assistance to meeting entities from U.S. EPA MRP's representative and others needed. I guess it's an informational item that you will share with us.
Yeah. Basically, this is the part where if anybody has questions, like Lori Weeda was at the June 16th meeting we had in person, and she's like, hey, can Templeton go? So if anybody has questions, while EPA is in the room, Abby primarily, this is the time to ask. So I'd like to put this on the agenda, and we address the meetings all set for that. And I think we're done. So does anybody have questions for Abby? Mr. Chairman, Logan has his hand up.
Logan, please go ahead.
All right. So I think this is related under there. So I read over the beta summary for phase 1 for the apple orchards in Shirley. basically saying everything we kind of already knew and just advising of going to phase 2. So I was wondering on like next steps of what we need to do to proceed with whatever has to happen going forward.
Abby.
That I would have to see if the eligibility checklist that was initially filled out was for just a phase 1 or a phase 1 and phase 2. If it is a phase 1 and phase 2, then Joe from Beta would have to do a quality assurance project plan specifically for the site and submit it to us, and we could proceed with the phase 2. If it was just initially for a phase 1, then I assume that I don't know if I would assume that the committee would want to put a vote toward funding the work for phase 2.
And if we need a meeting, we can pull it off, literally like 2 Tuesdays or 2 Wednesdays from now or something like that.
Okay.
So I don't think this would slow down the process that much.
So you need a scope and a budget. Yeah, you need a budget for
Yeah,
the scope
for the
of work,
for the
so-
QAP,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
QAPP.
And
Yeah,
it does look
yes.
like it was just a phase 1 and Mass DEP regulatory review. So if there's phase 2, then Joe would probably likely need to provide a scope of work and budget and bring it
Okay.
back to the committee.
So Abby and I can reach out to Joe to give him this tidbit of the information and say, hey, Joe, we need a phase 2 request. He'll need about a week probably to write it up. And then I can work toward setting a meeting up for basically a couple weeks from now, because he's on vacation this week. If we presume he can do it next week, and I don't want to presume anything, I'm not in Joe's cubicle or in his head. And then the following week. So Logan, we would just keep the cogs moving with a lot of WD-40. All right, just to make sure that we can roll forward. Does that answer your question, sir?
It does. It does. I'm glad with the progress we've made so far, and I'm glad to continue it. There's one thing I want to get this, at least try to get this site cleaned up. For I retire.
Yes.
We've got a number of years.
And yeah. Before you retire, let's hope before that. For the phase 2's proposed balance after 11th is 29,857.28. So just under 30 grand. We have, now that you have all, thank you, approved more work in Groton for 30, but we still have about 30 left. So that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
Also, Abby, technical question to follow up on with Joe in this conversation. So if we find that we are out of phase 1 work, can we move some money around in the budget? For example, as of right now, after approving the 2 sites in Templeton, there's a balance of 51,050 available for phase 1s. So as we get near to the end of the grant, can we shift money from the phase 1 category to the phase 2 category? And is that a formal amendment or an email amendment, or it's got to be some paper trail, I presume? Abby.
Yes, so that's a great
Yeah.
question. If it's over a certain percentage, if it's over 10%, then it will need to be a formal documentation. If it's under 10%, then it will just need to be an email documenting that. So if
10% of the total grant award, Abby?
Yes, sorry.
No. You said it fine. Thank you. I just want to clarify.
So
Okay.
if it ends up, based on percentage, just reach out to me and I'll let you know
Okay.
what next steps will be.
And that's what MRPC's job is, to do that kind of stuff, especially as we get toward the end. So Logan, you might help us achieve even more higher expenditure rate, and Shirley. So we'll find out in a couple weeks.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Logan. Yeah. Help me spend our money.
I'm glad I can help you spend your money. It makes me very
No problem, Logan. We're happy to help everybody.
Yeah, and this is exactly the time to bring up, project requests. So that's great to follow up on, for Shirley and Logan's phase 1 there. And, Athol, we do appreciate, the phase 1 that was done for 994 Pinedale Avenue. Athol, we did get that delivered. I'm not sure if my colleagues, I think Paul Reskovitz has received it from Sean Zahoski, but I'll be honest, I haven't had time to even open up the document yet. It's been so busy here this last few weeks, but yeah, I appreciate that. We need some, but yeah, this is the time of the place, the meeting where nobody does have any project request ideas, bring them up. If you don't have them now, just be prepared for the next time in this agenda item to have your projects brought forward if you have any brownfield sites in your community. Yeah.
That's great. Mr. Chair, can I add on to that?
Please.
It's our job, so we'll push out another communication to all of our communities to say we're nearing the end of this program, but we still have, some 5-figure budget left. So if you have, sites on your radar in your communities, then and I'm not trying to take money away from Logan and Shirley for another phase 2, but we still have some money, if there's 30 left in the phase 2 category and 50 left in the phase 1 category, I think we need a scope on the QAP from Joe before MRPC issues that communication, because what if there's 80,000 needed for, more phase 2 work, or the PFAS site in Fitchburg or something. So remember, MRPC won't solicit more work until we kind of settle the dust on those sites first.
Also,
Okay.
just for clarification, sorry
Yes,
to
ma'am.
sort of interrupt.
No, you didn't at all.
If it's just phase 1 and phase 2 work that you wouldn't be moving the budget between, then that would not need any amendments because it's part of the same assessment task. But if it's
Okay.
phase 3, like cleanup planning, then that's
Yeah.
when you would need to let me know about the 10% change. So I wasn't sure if it just depends on exactly what
That's
budget
fine.
movements you'll be doing. So
And we do have 25,500 left in the phase 3 bucket. So
Okay.
folks, really quick, we have about 25,500 in the phase 3s, about roughly 30 grand in the phase 2s. So that's 55.5, and another 50 plus in the phase 1s. So 55 and 56 is about what, $1.10, $1.11, or something like that. So we'd really like to get the money out the door. So
Hey, Glenn,
thanks for that
are you
clarification.
under a deadline for getting that money out the door?
Abby, what's our deadline to expend 70%? What's that? September 1?
October 1st.
October
Of
1st
this
to
year,
get to the 70%
2026.
threshold. And I think we're at the 63% threshold, Abby?
Yeah,
60
it's
something?
60.
I'm not going to hold you to it. You said 60 something. 60 what?
63.92, and technically it is 70.00, so it's not
Right.
going to be 69.99. It would have to be 70.00. So just
Right.
for clarification.
Stephen, does that answer your question, sir? The other deadline is 9/30/27 to get everything done. And, I really appreciate in the olden days when EPA started this program, where we used to have, 2 years to expend, and they did it to 3, and I think it's now 4 or 5, whatever it is. But if you gave us 5 years to do a grant, or 4 years to do a grant, or 3 years, I like to do them in 2 years. There's no reason, I think we learned about the Fitchburg Redevelopment Authority site this year that there are still some very toxic properties out here, and we need as much money as possible. And we need to keep going. We need to keep rocking and rolling. So, Abby, the bottom line is, I've always said to you and your predecessors, go back to the days of Diane Kelly in 97, 98. We can do this in 2 years if we keep the ball rolling, and we only need 8 quarters because there are so many sites that need to be assessed. So that's kind of a mixed message on the end. I want to end on a highlight note, but we want to get more money into the region. So thank you all. Mr. Chairman, anything else? Did we exhaust the agenda?
I think, yeah, you did. I just want to say, if anybody has any sites that they want to explore with, before the next meeting, you can always, I'm sure you could email Glenn and his team over there at MRPC, and they could at least start exploring the sites, and they could even have the agenda for the next meeting. So don't feel like you have to wait till the next meeting. That's one thing I wanted to bring forward.
And I had a quick question, if I could, real quickly. And Abby, you can probably weigh in on this. How old fire stations and the potential PFAS contamination of old fire stations, how's that getting addressed these days? The same thing looked at as Brownfield site?
It can be. I mean, there are definitely specific eligibility requirements that need to be met. If the town owns it and the town is looking to assess it, it would not be eligible because the town was the one who caused the contamination. Under the regional planning commissions, that is potentially a workaround if the regional planning commission is willing to assess it on the town's behalf. They may be able to, because they are not the ones likely who caused or contributed to the contamination.
All right, yeah, It's an interesting situation. It was a town fire station at one point, but then it was sold 12 years ago to a private entity that wants to turn it into a restaurant. So
is it currently in use? I mean, it would definitely also have to meet the definition of a brownfield where it's the contamination or potential contamination is preventing it from being developed, expanded.
no, it's in use. It's in use, and
Okay.
the owners are looking to explore potential, because I think generally people assume if it was a fire station, there was probably PFAS involved somewhere,
Right.
the turnout gear or whatever they're using. So they're starting to look at it, but it is in use, and there's actually going to be a restaurant opening there.
So
Some good drinks and PFAS
wet
in it now.
blanket. So it's not a brownfield.
Has not been identified as such. Correct.
Okay. Okay. Okay, but a great question. I think it's a good conversation.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good question. Any further questions? Okay, not seeing any. I guess we would take a motion to adjourn with a second to follow. Thank you. Second.
I'll second or offer the motion or whatever.
We had the motion, so thank you for the
All right, good.
second. And I guess we need one more roll call vote to adjourn. I'll be the first one. I'll say aye.
Okay. Mary Jo.
Aye.
Stephen.
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
Cindy King from Townsend.
Aye.
Logan.
I
Peter.
Cunningham, aye.
Nicole.
Aye.
Bob L.
Aye.
Camilo Nevis.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
Doug. Yeah,
it.
thank
Today's
everybody.
meeting.
Thank you very much.
have a good
Bye
one.
now. Yep.
Thank you.
So long.